we build a race bike, we take it out of the frame and build it back up. We do this to ensure that things are Loctited and things are greased and it's easier to work on and remove what we don't want and put on what we do want. So whenever we did this bike, I was honestly impressed on how much grease was in like the linkage and the swing arm and the steering stem and all of that, because some of the other bikes that I've had in the previous years, and I'm not referencing the Beta, I'm referencing other brands, they were freaking dry. And this bike had a lot more than I expected. And even like on the chain adjusters, we pull those out to end of season, they had white grease on them. I was impressed. This bike is phenomenal, and I'm really, really happy with everything that I see. I wanted to go over a couple things on my race bike, some preventative stuff and some parts we put on it, and pretty much how we build our bikes at Bonecutter Off-Road. So my name is Taylor. This is my 2025 race machine. It's a Beta 200 Race Edition. Super stoked to be racing a 200. They are so much fun, and yeah, let's dive right in. So I run Bib Moose tubes. Michelin, can't go wrong with those. It's honestly my favorite ones that I've tried. I've tried all the brands that you see out there and whatnot, but I like the feel of them, so I kind of stick to what I know. A little bit set in my ways kind of thing. I have Bridgestone tires. I tried them for the first time in October, and I was kind of hesitant, but honestly everything I've rode so far I've been pretty impressed with. So if you want to know more about that and what exactly I'm running, just shoot me a message and we'll chat about it. Next up, this year I decided to put some Ride Engineering triple clamps on. They are split, they're blue, and they're pretty. I haven't actually got to ride this bike yet, so I'm not too sure if it changed anything, but I really don't think it did, other than it might be a little bit, it won't be as rigid is my guess. I don't know. And then moving on, I have a counter shocks. I've been running counter shocks for a couple years now. As soon as I tried it, it was one of those things that I felt like I couldn't go without. I was coming back from a wrist injury, and every like impact, every G out, every log, like all of that just like made my wrist hurt so freaking bad. And I was stressing out, like, what can I do to like soften impacts? And like I couldn't hang on. And so anyway, I got one, I put it on, and it definitely softened the blows on those harder hits, and I've never took it off since. If you want more info on counter shocks, shoot me a message. We can dive into all the deep details of how that works and what it does and whatnot. Next up, I run Enduro Engineering flags. I run the ones that go to your master cylinders. I like them a lot better than full wraps just because I hit a lot of trees, and I can most of the time save it if I run flags. Most of the time. Next is they have ARC levers. I run the Melbon, I think is what they're actually called. They kind of bend a little bit and flex. I really like that plastic feeling on my fingers. I don't know why, but I got small hands, and these are literally the best levers I've ever used. And when I say small hands, I mean youth medium. And next up is ODI Imming lock-on grips. I run lock-on grips because I have this irrational fear of twisting my grips off. It happened one time, and that one time all I had was glue on, and this was like right whenever I started racing, like 10 years ago, so I didn't know better. I have used non-lock-on grips since, and I didn't have problems. We just put 4 rows of wires on it, but now that I'm on a Beta again, I don't know. I want to get back to what I'm used to. ODI lock-on grips. Next up is Fast Company flex bars. I've been running flex bars for 6-7 years, and it is like the #1 thing I have to have on a bike. Like, I don't really care so much on some of the other things. Like, it's not a necessary item for me, but like flex bars, absolute must. I like the bend I have. I like the sweep. I like all of it. I like the way it moves up and down. It really softens impacts. It can help with arm pump if you have that problem. I'm fortunate enough to not have that problem, but it's like one of those, I gotta have it no matter what. I don't care. So Anyway, best of the best, made in America, can't go wrong there. Next up is Bulletproof Designs radiator guards. I also run their rear disc guard. Bulletproof Designs is made in America. They're great guys. I love working with them. They are actually located in Missouri, which is right where I am, so it's super cool. They sponsor the sport, they sponsor series, like they are a part of what we do, and so I feel like it's important to support those who support you. So and plus their products are really good, and they make more things than what you can even imagine. Every time I talk to one of them, they're like, oh yeah, we got this and we got that. I'm like, what? You make that? So it's super sick. I definitely recommend like scrolling through their website, because I'm telling you, there's all kinds of stuff that they make that we have no idea that they even make. Super, super cool. Next is the Samco hose kit. We put a Samco hose kit on because they are thicker than stock, they keep the bike cooler, and they delete the thermostat. If you're going to be racing, your bike goes through a lot, especially if you're racing GNCCs or anything like mud races or whatever. Let's keep the bike cooler, let's prevent stuff. So since we put the Samco hose kit on, there is this little knob thing, this little spigot, I like to call it. We chopped it off and welded it. I will get a close-up on that so you guys can see it. And then the skid plate of choice is E-Line by XP. Ron is a great dude. He makes carbon fiber products. He makes carbon fiber skid plates, carbon fiber pipe guards, and front disc guard. And I love his stuff. He's a good dude. I love working with him, with the shop and stuff. So he got into the plastic business and got skid plates that him and AXP collabed on. Quality is great. They're thick. They have leakage guards. Great product. Can't go wrong with that. Next up is the Enduro Engineering brake tip. I run this brake tip because it's really, really hard to break. And it's just one of those preventative things. Next up is Fastway foot pegs. I tried these ankle saver ones about a year ago, and I don't feel like I can ride with anything else right now. So pretty much the ankle savers have this little bitty extra piece on it. That way it gives you more support in your heels and keeps you in a better position by staying on your toes. And that was the biggest thing that I felt like. I felt like I was more stable on the bike. I felt like I was in a better body position. I felt like I was actually like how you were supposed to be standing on the bike, gripping with your legs, this and that. And so by running it, I noticed whenever, like, let's say you just freaking slammed a hard hit, didn't land how you're supposed to, and your ankles go down like that, it saves it from like just snapping. And I really don't think you could go wrong with that. I also run the Fast Company brake spring and clevis. That kind of stiffens up your rear brake a little bit. If you're hard on brakes, I do definitely think everybody should run it. And it's by having that extra spring, it also allows, like, let's say you break the stock brake pedal spring, you still have a little bit of like where it still works. I don't know what the right words are. Sorry. I put a FMF shorty on this bike. I haven't got to try it yet, so I'm anxious to kind of see what that's all about. Another thing you'll notice is we used banjo bolts to get rid of the rear brake light and the front brake light. If you just leave the wires on there and cut it, you have the potential to maybe bust that off and lose your brakes. So we do this because it's a lot harder to break a bolt. And yeah, we also put a race harness on it to delete all the extra wires that I don't need, and the speedometer and this and that gets separate buttons. I like my start button on my left side and my kill button on my right side. Yes, my tech tells me that that is wrong, but I don't care. I got small hands. It's too much for me to push my start button and twist the throttle at the same time. I run a solid rear rotor. I run it because I am one of those people that uses the rear brake as a foot peg occasionally. So by doing that, it allows me to not overheat my brakes. We also put Castrol brake fluid in my front and rear brake and my clutch. It has a higher heat temp so it doesn't overheat as quick. I'm not saying you can't overheat it, but it is a lot better than some of the other ones on the market. I also run a rib seat cover. This one's made by Moto Seat. They have all kinds of colorways, and that's why I go with them, because they're super good to work with. I like their seat covers. Yeah. New for this year is my graphics company. I am using Racer Decal. They are out of California, and being in Missouri and from the Midwest, you think, oh well, that's far away. Yeah, it is freaking far away. It's 26 hours. But honestly, I've gotten my graphics for not just my bike, but many bikes very, very quickly. I am really impressed with the turnaround time, and they're great to work with. So yeah, good people. Looking forward to continuing on the rest of the season. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we got the bulletproof rear disc guard on as well. So I got a BRP chain guide. I also am running a 14-tooth front sprocket and a 49-tooth rear sprocket, 49 stock. I also have a Enduro Engineering case saver